Alright, so there are two things happening right now that I never would have thought to prepare for. And since they have happened, it's really opened my mind up to new things to prepare for. And those two things are social distancing and essential versus non-essential services, and how nobody understands which is which and what is considered essential and what's not essential, and just the confusion behind that. And so in today's video I want to recommend 3 different books. Now these books are recommendations, but they're also to kind of get your mind working in a different way. My mindset for recommending these books is that Google is only as good as you are, meaning that if you Google, my furnace is making a weird noise, okay? Google's not going to tell you what's wrong with your furnace and how to fix it, right? You need to understand the components and the features of that furnace, and you need to know what the parts are called so that you can say that this part in this furnace is rattling, and you can get a better understanding of what you need to do to make that better, okay? All the answers are online. It's just how do you find those answers? And so by having books and having diagrams and having pictures of things, you can see. So if I take my furnace apart because it's rattling and I have a picture of a piece and mine does not look like that one, I know that it's broke, and because I have the name of that item or that component, I can order a new one, right? And that's why I like books, because it kind of breaks everything down and it kind of gives you a big picture of what's important, what's not important, what to look for, what not to look for, but more importantly, it tells you what to Google, okay? The other thing that I have in my head is the social distancing. It isn't gotten to this point yet, but it could get to a point where people are not allowed into your home, which nobody wants anyone in their house anyway. But think of electricians, plumbers, carpenters. If your dishwasher just fails, you're going to want somebody to come and fix it for you. But if they're not allowed into your home because of social distancing, that's going to be a problem. And so you're either going to need to fix it yourself. You're going to have a general understanding of what to look for, what matters, what doesn't matter. But also, if there is social distancing and they're not allowed in your home, but they can help you over the phone, it's going to be your responsibility to make sure you have the correct tools to perform the task that they are telling you over the phone, and a general idea of what's going on, so that when they say to look behind the compressor, you know what the compressor is. When they say check for these wires, you know where to check and you know what wires those are, okay? So the more ahead of the game you are, the more you can understand about things around the house, the better off you're going to be prepared. The other thing is if they're non-essential, if there's just nobody to call, right? Then you have to have the knowledge again to know what to Google. You have to understand the problem. You have to understand what is making the noise, what is making the problem, what is different than what it used to be. You need to have an idea of all these things so that you can become the provider for your home. You can be the one that fixes these things. You essentially have to become a plumber, electrician, a carpenter, all the things that you would call somebody else for help for, you're going to have to provide for yourself. And so I have 3 books here. I'm going to go in order from least important to most important. And the idea, again, is just to get you thinking outside the box. So the first one is a children's encyclopedia. I would love to have the full set of encyclopedias, but that's like $1,000. They're crazy expensive. Again, you used to be able to use the library and check them out. Then you have the Google, and so you really don't need it. The only reason you would need the whole set is if, again, the internet just crashes. But the children's encyclopedia, the reason I chose this book is because there's, again, the essential services, schools. There's a lot of schools that are shut down. There's a lot of distance learning. Last year I had to teach my son a lot of different things. We had to do it all online over the internet. And by having an encyclopedia, I was able to look up things, so when he was studying something, I could look it up and find kind of key points on it. So again, I would know what to Google. So like if we were talking about the Aztecs, right? I don't know anything about Aztecs, like nothing. I could put it into the Google and get a billion different things to study about the Aztecs, or I can pull out my encyclopedia and just kind of look at the 1100s, 1200s, maybe the Great Temple. You know, I can pick out some of the more important things. I won't have a million options. I'll have 7, and we can use those 7 to build our report or build our homework or build things off of. The other thing is, if you are interested in American history or history in general, I recommend getting a encyclopedia or a children's encyclopedia now. This one's from 2019, so last year, and it's already missing some names and some things. Let me just read you this little blurb and you'll kind of get an idea of what I mean. So, in November 1620, a group of pilgrims from England on board the Mayflower arrived in North America after a grueling 66-day journey. They founded Plymouth in Massachusetts. So you can see that there's some names missing. There's probably a main place missing. Even later on, they talk about the Mayflower Pilgrims. And so, if you want the stories the way that we were taught them and the way that we remember them, you're probably going to need an older set of encyclopedias. But again, this one has the World Wars in it. So again, you can pull up the World War and you can get every single little tiny fact there is about it, where this will just kind of key point or highlight the main events, and so we can focus on the main events. And also, if the schools start to eliminate curriculum, we will have the responsibility and the ability to teach our kids that curriculum ourselves. So that's just something that I wanted to bring up, get you thinking about, and hopefully you understand that choice. The other thing, this isn't a recommendation, but a good dictionary, a Webster's dictionary. The Google's going to tell you how to spell everything. Spell check has come a long way. You just have to pretend you know how to spell something, and it knows what to bring up, and the definitions are there. So the only reason I think you would need a dictionary is, again, if the internet completely fails. And I always try to go towards no internet. All right, so when my preparedness and my preps, I always lean towards no internet. But if that's something you're not worried about, that's probably not something that you need. Next is going to be a cookbook. This is Six Sisters Stuff. I really like this cookbook, but just cookbooks in general. A lot of people, they like to go to restaurants, they like to eat out, and the restaurants were the first to be eliminated. They were the first non-essential service, and it looks like they're going to be the last ones to reopen. And so being able to have cookbooks and the ability to turn ingredients into meals is very important. I know we all stockpiled rice and beans, and it's a good thing to stockpile. It's a good thing to have, and when there's no other option, you're going to be glad you have it. But as long as there are options, you're going to want a more well-rounded meal, a more well-rounded diet, and cookbooks are going to be good at providing you with meal options and desserts and things to look forward to. This one I like because there's other things sprinkled inside of it. Again, I'll leave links to all these books in the description box down below. You don't have to buy what I link to. You can buy whatever you want, but I like to link to the items themselves so that it's easier for you guys to find them, and you can research them yourself if you don't want to take my word for it. But one of the pages that I suggested is the spring cleaning checklist. Now, again, if social distancing or a non-essential service were to prevent plumbers, electricians, all these people from coming to your house to fix these problems or maintain your home, having a cleaning schedule and a cleaning checklist to properly maintain, clean, organize all your equipment, your heating ducts, everything, it's going to prevent things from breaking. It's going to prevent needing those types of people in the first place. And so I think that a spring cleaning checklist is very important, and just cleaning in general is going to be more important than ever before. Next I have 50 fun date ideas. Now this is an older book, so these are like, some of them are go to the zoo, check out your local museums. So there are things that are not essential, that are closed and you're not going to be able to do. But even simple things like make homemade pizza together, or stargazing, or game night. These are all things that you can put on your calendar, because what I have found is it gets tedious and monotonous. The work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep. Weekend comes, you catch up on cleaning and housework, and then work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep. And there's just, it all kind of gets to be too much at times. And so by having a day, even if it's just like once a month, once every other month, having something that you can look forward to, even if it is just game night or stargazing or a picnic or something that just gets you out of the routine, you know, it's that excitement of looking ahead and wanting that day to come, which kind of changes up your mood a little bit. When the day comes, you're super excited, and it just changes your mood, it changes your perspective, it changes everything up, so that it's not just work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep. So just, even if it's not a date night, even if you just put one day where you're just like, I'm gonna play video games, or I'm gonna just read a book and relax, or whatever that one day is, just make sure you set it aside so that you have something to look forward to. 100 healthy snack ideas. Again, you're going to have to learn how to turn ingredients into meals or snacks. And snacks they're harder to come by. I remember used to just run to the gas station, grab some jerky or a candy bar, and that would hold me over for however long. You could go to McDonald's and grab a burger real quick off the dollar menu. Well, the problem is because of social distancing, because of the essential service that eliminated a lot of restaurants, the population in these areas are higher, and the amount of people that are allowed in the building is smaller. And so there are lines where there never used to be lines. And so grabbing something out of the gas station real quick isn't as easy as just grabbing it, paying for it, and enjoying it. You might have to wait in line until the store empties out. You might have forgot your mask and not allowed in the gas station to begin with. The lines at McDonald's are getting longer and longer and longer. The people that can't go out to eat to a nice restaurant are going to McDonald's and ordering their meals every night at McDonald's. And so having the ability again to make your own meals is going to make that a lot better. But make sure that you include snacks in there as well, because again, I think that's something that I took for granted, of just being able to quick go grab something to hold me over. I never really thought of having snacks here at the house, because I have my 3 meals a day, and on a rare occasion I'll need a snack. Well, those rare occasions have come, and I've just suffered through. Here's 101 fun, easy, and cheap indoor activities for kids. Kids are having a really hard time. I have a kid that's almost 8 years old, and it's hard for him to understand why everything's different. Like, he understands the pandemic, he understands things are closed and you can't do the things you do, but not being able to go to school and hang out with his friends, it's really hard on him, you know, and not being able to go make new friends. The ability to go to the playground, he hasn't been able to go to the playground because of germs and everything, and social distancing has made it really hard. And so the kids are having a really hard time. I know a lot of people focus on how we're going to pay the bills, and how we're going to get work, and how we're going to do this and how we're going to do that. And there's a lot of grown-up problems that are very serious and are getting a lot of attention. And the kids' problems don't seem very big because they're just kids, but you got to let your kids be kids. They're only going to be young once. And if they don't have the ability to experience life as a child, I don't think that's very healthy. And so here are indoor activities to help them be kids, help them use their imagination, help them run and jump and use their energy, all the child energy that's built up inside of them. It helps them experience it, and I think that that's very important. And then the last one that I want to mention is there's a build your 72-hour kit in 52 weeks. And so it's like one thing every week or something. I haven't looked at it or anything. But I'm planning on doing this on my Patreon. And so every week I'll make a video on what's ever recommended here. Again, I haven't read it or looked at it. And the reason I want to do that on Patreon is because I find that people that pay $1 a month are a lot nicer than the people that stumble upon this channel. for free. It seems that if you pay $1, you're understanding, and if there's something in here that we all disagree on, we can all disagree on it and come up with a better solution. We're on YouTube. I just have 100 people calling me an idiot. So to avoid that, I'm going to do it on Patreon if you guys are interested. So leave that in the comment section down below if that's something that you want to go through and kind of see what they have put together as a 72-hour kit, and I'll kind of build it as I go. And then the last book I recommend. Now, the other two, there's variants like encyclopedias. It doesn't have to be the children's encyclopedia. It can be any encyclopedia. Cookbooks in general, any cookbook. This book I recommend, like the book itself. This is Expanding and Updated, the 3rd edition of How Your House Works by Charlie Wing. Now, this book has everything in it. This is kind of a jack of all trade, master of none book. It has everything in it, which is, some people complain about it because it has things like a electric water heater and a gas water heater. Now, you're not going to have both, right? You're either going to have gas or electric, and so there's a lot of this book that you're just going to skip over. It has, so let me show you some pictures. It has plumbing, and it has very good pictures that help you distinguish what, like the cold water, hot water, how everything plumbs in, the waste piping, the ventilation system. It has everything you need to know for plumbing, and sinks and faucets and the plugs, old toilets, new toilets. Again, you probably don't have one of each. You probably only have the old gravity, or you have the water saving toilets. So there's a lot of things that you're just going to skip over, which I found people found was annoying because they got to go through a bunch of pages to get to what they actually own. But it has hand pumps, and so if you're going to go off grid and you're going to dig a well or something, and you can understand how those works. Jet pumps.
2 hours later.
This is a great book. Again, it's not going to teach you how to wire a house, but it is going to have what you need so that you know what to Google. Okay, if I open up my fan and one of my black wires is hooked up to a blue wire and it's not supposed to be that way, this is going to show me that. And then also I can Google why that is. Maybe it is supposed to be that way in that particular fan. Maybe something else was happening, and Google can then fill in the blanks, right? And so with that being said, these books are the ones that I recommend. This is the thought process that has been consuming me for the past few months. And I want to know in that comment section down below, how do you feel that how has your preparedness plan affected the way the world is today? And what books would you recommend? Leave that in the comment section. And I cannot wait to see you on my next video.